Hey guys, Woods Farm here, Project 222. This is episode 30. Things are really starting to move fast now as we get closer to spring. We've got a couple of small panels that need to get fabricated and put in place to close in the door area on both the driver and passenger side. I also want to get around to fabricating a couple of brackets to support and secure the radiator hoses in the engine compartment. So stick around and check it out. Okay, the first thing we're going to work on in this episode are those small panels that need to get finished up that go around the door. You can see that we need a little panel at in front of the door to bring that body panel back a little bit further. There's also a small lip or ledge at the top edge of the door, and also because the way our frame is a little bit wider and also kind of comes out away from the bottom of the panels, we're going to have to make sure the door is set up high enough so it'll swing down and clear the panel. So to do that, we're also going to have probably a small lip or ledge at the bottom also. Okay, here's the area around the door that I'm talking about. You can see it's quite large. The door is actually only about 25 inches wide, and it starts more or less right back at the edge of that large square panel in the middle. So it doesn't go all the way to the front. So what happens is we need to extend this panel back a little bit. The reason we just left it there was just easier to do based on the materials we had at the time. So we're going to extend this back several inches. There's also a lip that needs to come down on the top edge just a little bit, just a few inches. And also, for reasons that I explained, the fact that the door needs to be able to swing down on an angle and clear the frame, we're going to also have a small lip at the bottom edge. I don't think the original had a lip there. It's a little bit unfortunate, but it's just the way we're dealing with this framework. We need to make sure that door can swing down and clear the frame. So let's go ahead, pattern this out, and get those smaller plates cut out and put in place. Okay, so the issue is I was playing around with the square trying to replicate how the door would swing down, and depending on just how it's attached, you know, the squareness of this edge here, it's going to factor into how that door swings down. And you can see the frame just kind of swoops up here right near this corner, and it is very close. There is probably like ½ an inch of clearance. This lower lip is 2.5 inches, and I just arbitrarily kind of came up with that because it brings it flush with the height of the rear floor area, so it kind of seems natural that it would progress. So there's two options. I can raise that lip, which I don't really want to do. I feel like it's already kind of an obstruction to getting in and out of the vehicle. The other option is this line here, right here. I can bring that back a little bit, and it'll make the door slightly smaller. However, it'll definitely give me the clearance I need to stay away from this hump here. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'll make the doors 24 inches as opposed to 25 inches. So that just means this panel here needs to have an extra inch added to it to bring it back. And I think that'll deal with our clearance issue. door complete. I've got all the edging done. This panel here is in place. The lip on the bottom and the top are in. I've got the corners rounded. So it's all complete. Just got to finish up the welding, but we're going to do that at a later time when we weld all the seams. So now we just got to do the same thing on the other side. Now that we're done extending that panel back and putting the edging around the doors on both sides, we're going to move on to working on the brackets for the radiator hoses in the engine compartment. I already have a piece of material set up here in the rad hose configuration right in the middle. And essentially this rad hose needs to be held specifically away from the exhaust manifold as far back and away as possible, and it just needs to be held kind of secure so it doesn't rattle around. And that's going to be pretty straightforward. I just need to make another bracket welded to this panel here that will bolt up to that piece that I've already got fabricated. The upper rad hose, a little more complicated. We're going to have to make some sort of an L-shaped arm that probably starts up in here somewhere, extends down and out. Now, if you remember, there's going to be a 2-inch lip along this, all along this edge to allow you to bolt the engine deck on, the engine cover. So this has to be held roughly in this orientation. You can see I just got a bungee cord there now. One of the main reasons is if you allow this to be unsupported, what happens is it sags and you develop a kink there, which would restrict the flow and it just wears out the rad hose. So I'm thinking originally my plan was to have this kind of mounted to the engine deck itself. However, I think for the easiest thing to do would be to have kind of an arm that comes down, holds it there, and basically would allow you to take the engine deck on and off without having to monkey around with unbolting this rad hose bracket. Okay, there's the lower rad hose bracket. That was pretty easy. It's just a piece of angle cut, 2 holes drilled through it, and then I went ahead and welded it to the inside of this body panel here, right in the correct position, and it's holding that lower rad hose out and away from the engine. The upper bracket was a little more tricky. I ended up going ahead, I had a little bit of this 2-inch flat stock, and you can see that lip. I've talked about that in previous videos. I don't have enough to do the entire lip or ledge, but I went ahead and did it up along the top edge and the driver's side. That way I would have be 100% where the bracket would be to clear this. And then I ended up realizing that I could just actually go right off of this lip. So I welded a piece to the back of it, drilled 2 holes, welded in 2 studs. There's another piece right here, and a piece of angle gets welded off, 2 holes drilled in it, and now we've got a bracket holding the upper rad hose. Okay guys, we're going to wrap this video up here. We got quite a bit of work done over the last couple of days. Actually, you can see I did some painting, some priming off camera, but really we got those door frame areas done, and good to see that come together. Finally get a good look at what the door is going to look like. Also, it was nice to get some of those little mechanical things out of the way, specifically the brackets to hold the radiator hoses in place. If you want to see more of Project 222, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. That way you don't miss any of our future videos. I think in our next video we're going to be working on some welding. We're going to work on welding up the seams. The temperatures are really starting to get up here in Ontario, and we're going to be able to open up the garage door, allowing us to do a lot of welding. We might also get around to patterning out and working on the front fenders. So make sure to come back and check that out. If you have any comments or questions about the project, definitely leave them below in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.